Food manufacturer Tiger Brands is recalling about 20 million Koo and Hugos canned vegetable products due to defects in the cans. The products being recalled were produced between the 1st of May 2019 and the 5th of May 2021. It says most of the defective cans were identified prior to the final labeling of the finished products. The company says the financial impact of the recall is estimated at between 500 million and 650 million rands. Mary Jane Morifi is Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at Tiger Brands, and she joins us now to talk about this. Mary Jane, thank you for your time. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Leon. Thank you for inviting us to speak to you and to your viewers.
So this is a very important issue because a lot of South Africans, of course, are great fans of the product. So let's talk about which brands specifically have been affected by this recall.
The brands that have been affected, Leon, are the brands that are produced out of our Boksburg factory, and it's mainly the baked beans in the various sauces, the sweet corn and some of the vegetable products like your green beans and so forth. We produce on average out of that facility about 220 million cans. Unfortunately, as part of the labeling process, we identified that we had been provided with and supplied with defective cans that had a defect on the seam, and our concern first and foremost was for the consumers, because that seam, with it being weak and having a latent defect, our concern was that it would leak and allow for pathogens to go in.
All right, so it's basically across the board of the Koo and Hugos products and what the consumer needs to do. I know you've said it many times yesterday, but in case people are waking up this morning and they want to also know, you need to turn the can over and look at the bottom at the dates. Is that correct?
Yes. That's correct. The date is stamped. The manufacturing date is what they need to look at. And we are covering the period, as you rightly said earlier, from the 1st of May to the 2019 to the 5th of May 2021. I think maybe I need to explain to viewers why we are covering such a wide range. This is a period where the supplier started supplying us with cans. The defective cans that we found were actually manufactured between February of this year and May of this year. But we wanted to, and the supplier couldn't give us assurance that the problem and the gaps that we identified in their manufacturing processes didn't exist prior to February. So to ensure that we covered all of the cans for the sake of the safety and health of the consumers, we extended the period to start with when the supplier started supplying with cans. We understand that probably most of those cans, majority of them have got no issues, but we didn't want to take any chances.
Well, that's good of you, because, I mean, you lost literally R1 billion in share value yesterday on the announcement. So, I mean, surely you must know a little bit more. I mean, that's a big decision as a company to take, to recall from that massive period without any concrete facts, as what you are telling us, that there is in fact an issue.
I think what drove us was consumer safety and the cost of having a consumer or consumers being impacted, their health being impacted by this, would be a lot more than what we are experiencing now. I think in time we will probably realize, and everyone will realize, that we made the right decision and protected the consumers on whom we depend. We depend on these consumers coming back and back again to the store shelves and choosing to pick up a Koo product because it's a product that they trust.
Yeah, I suppose one would understand that you as a company, Tiger Brands, needed to be very safe when handling with this one, because, I mean, we do remember, and all of us do, and certainly you do, is the whole issue around the listeriosis. 200 people died subsequently, and your handling of that situation, I suppose, was not the best possible way. So lessons have been learned from that one, and I see them being executed this time.
Yeah, and I think what we also need to point out is that this time around, the recall is a precautionary voluntary recall. So we're not being told to do this. We discovered something, we worked with our can supplier, and we chose to take the decision that we took. And the other important thing is that to date, we have not had any reports of health issues consumer health issues reported. So we want to make sure that none of that happens. And the health impacts of pathogens going into the cans are extremely low. It's getting a tummy ache to food poisoning. But I can't sit here, Leanne, and say it is zero. And that is what made us make this decision, because we are not able to say there is zero health impact. And so for that reason, we have took the decision to recall the products. We have now put in place an audit process and a gap closure process with the can supplier, and we'll restock the shelves as soon as they are cleared with fresh stock that is produced with quality assured cans.
So let's understand how this actually happened and how it was discovered. So you have gone through that with us already. You said the manufacturer that you use when this year you were looking at a batch prior to the actual labeling, because this actually happens under the label where the seam of the can joins. You saw that there was a defect. So when was this noticed? When exactly did you notice that there was this defect? And talk to us about the process thereafter.
Yeah. The process of canning vegetables, or canning in general, is we would can the products and then we would put them in quarantine. They're called bright stock because the cans are still shiny and they've got no label on them. So this is unlabeled cans, and they're put in quarantine for between 10 and 15 days. And this is to ensure the quality of our cooking process, to make sure that we've cooked the product properly, there is no buckling, there is no leaking, and there are no dents and so forth. And once they have gone through the quarantine period, they then get put through the labeling line. And it's at that labeling line that the quality assurance staff actually noticed a can that was leaking. When I say leaking, it's not spewing out liquid, but they could see that it had leaked and there was residue of sauce on the seam. That called for us to remove the stock from the labeling process and do the investigation to see what had gone wrong. We identified 3 batches of cans, and in engagement with the can supplier, they identified a further 3. The problem arose when, we thought that we had 6 batches that were problematic. When we did the sorting and the investigation, we discovered a 7th one that they had not identified. And of the 6, all of the 6 batches were still within our control, because remember, it was bright stock that had not been labeled, so we knew it had not gone to the market. The problem with the 7th batch, that consisted of about just under 1 million cans, is that some of it had gone into the market, and hence this recall that we have instituting.
Yeah, so nothing prior, and obviously this is an important point for your company's side, nothing prior to what you discovered on that quality control line, which is what made you act, has been discovered. There was nothing prior to that put alarm bells out for you.
There was nothing prior to that. We even went and did in-store and market investigations to see. We looked at our consumer complaints that we would normally receive. There were none related to the side seam weld, but we just thought the fact that there were none now, how do we determine that there are none? The only way you can do that is going and ensuring in the manufacturing process of the cans that they had not experienced what they experienced in this February to May period.
Some people asking, obviously there's, you've got such a wide variety. I mean, we're talking about particularly the bean side of things and the corn. But what about the fish like your pilchards and also the canned fruit? Is that affected as well?
The canned fruit and the canned pilchards are not affected because they are produced from cans that are manufactured and supplied to us by a different supplier. They are also produced, the canned fruit is produced in LEF and a different process. So those are different cans altogether, not the same cans that we use for the vegetables because of the product, the high acid product that goes into them. So the pilchards, the Koo canned pilchards, not impacted, and the Koo canned fruit also not impacted.
Right.
by the
Yeah, important point to note, because before people start going to the shops, because that, if I'm not mistaken, is what needs to happen. People need to take the batches back and they will get a refund. Is that how it works? To any supermarket anywhere?
They take it back to any supermarket or any wholesaler. They don't even need to have proof of payment to be able to get the refund. And they will be given a cash refund, unless, of course, they choose to say, I'll have a replacement product if there is one on the shelf.
If I may ask, what has happened to the manufacturer? Are you still using their services? Has that been put on hold? What's happened now?
As I said, Leanne, while we were doing the investigation, we worked very closely with the manufacturer. They were very collaborative. They allowed us to come into their manufacturing site to look at and see and audit their manufacturing processes. Both technical teams from both the manufacturer and our quality team work together to identify the gaps and enhance the quality of the manufacturing process. They provide us with cans from Gauteng and in the Western Cape. So we've now resumed canning with cans that are provided to us from this manufacturer because of the close working relationships with the team and the quality assurance that are now going into the manufacturing of the products, of the can.
So you still do use them. There's a lot of question marks now, and rightly so, from South Africans about food safety and issues that surround that, because we'd be none the wiser. We really would be. I mean, I would open up a can of baked beans and serve it as I would in any meal, and perhaps maybe I get sick from there and then I blame it on something else, not knowing that in fact it is from a product that is not packaged according to the safety standards that we should be upholding. You know, trust from a consumer is a very, very big thing. How do we trust you going forward? Because this is, I mean, yes, I know you're saying you're doing this before it gets out of hand and before anybody does come forward, but the reality is that this is now the second time that it's the same company that is behind something that could be something that's massive.
The quality, as I said, the matters of quality are extremely important to Tiger Brands. And it's one of the areas that we also need to look at is how do we do consumer awareness and education, not just with our products, but any products, to say, you know, kind of, yes, we as consumers, we trust in you, just take off the shelf and put in your trolley or your shopping basket. I think maybe we need to educate and create awareness among consumers to say, check to see the packaging, make sure that there are no dented cans, make sure that there's no leaking cans, or make sure that that packet of biscuits you are picking up has not been opened, because more than just the safety and health safety on shelf, the issues of sabotage of products and so forth. So consumers need to be aware. What we have the responsibility for as a company, and the promise that we give, is we will continue to enhance our quality assurance processes, and we will continue to act as a responsible corporate citizen, first and foremost directed and informed by the health and safety of the consumer, and not just worry about this is how much it's going to cost us. We will need to look after the interests of the consumers. Leanne, because I said we sell food and our fortunes are so inextricably linked with the fortunes of the consumers. It is when the consumer stands in front of that shelf that we would like them to note and recognize our products as quality assured products that they can trust, and hence the reactions and the decision to recall, even with very minimal evidence of there being any issues.
Yeah. Just on a final closing note as we wrap the interview, I know that as a company, Tiger Brand was also affected by the looting that we saw 2 weeks ago. You know, what kind of effect has it had on your bottom line?
It's definitely had an impact. For us in KwaZulu-Natal, the Tastic rice facility, both the manufacturing and the warehouse facility was impacted, and our candy and chocolate facilities. We are now working very hard to ensure that we get up to normal manufacturing speed. But as you can imagine, it wasn't just the product that was taken. There was also damage to the infrastructure. So needing to go and ensure that all of that is well and ready to start with producing. We were able to go and package the rice through other third-party suppliers who packaged for us. But there isn't a business in the KwaZulu-Natal area that has not been touched by this. There is a citizen that has not been impacted by this.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we leave it there for this morning. Thank you. Thanks for talking to us here about a very, very important issue, and I hope that you are aware of this. Mary Jane Morifi is the Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at Tiger Brands, talking to us about what has happened in terms of the Koo. It's the vegetable lines that have been affected. Have a look at your can. If it is on those dates, that's between the 1st of May 2019 to the 5th of May 2021. That's what you look for at the bottom of the can. If you find it there, take it back to your nearest supermarket, whichever place. And you don't need a proof of receipt. You don't need that. You just go and you will be able to get a refund for that. So this is a public service announcement. You need to have a look. There is a defect on the making of the can on the side, just on that side seam. So you won't be able to see it, but it has been detected. So for your own safety, take that back and you'll be able to get a refund. All right. That